I think you're on. Tell them hi.
Hi, guys.
Yes. All right. Hi again. I know. Oh, you gotta make room for me. So how is everybody? I missed day 2, but this is day 3 of our coronavirus shutdown, where we're having our break from school. And I just got cold, so I'm all bundled up, but probably in the middle of reading, I'm going to get really hot. So then I'll have to take it off. That's what I do all day. I get hot and then cold and then hot and then cold. Say hi to Natalie and say hi to Yorkie.
Hello.
And hi, Bryn and Kelly and Carter and Morgan and Silas. How are you guys? Are you doing well? When I said that we were going to do our video, Natalie said, I wonder, what did you say?
I wonder how Sarah's getting along with the guy.
She was wondering how Sarah was getting along with that man that was going to be taking care of her while her father was gone. So here we are with The Courage of Sarah Noble. Get your black composition notebooks out. I forgot to tell you yesterday that I wanted you to be writing a couple sentences under each picture that you draw about what is happening in the story. And remember, we're reading about colonial times. This is in the year 1707. Sarah was moving from which colony? Do you remember? Massachusetts. And moving into which colony? The wilderness of Connecticut. So, all right. And we are on chapter 8. And I told you I'm hot already. We're on chapter 8, in the Indian house. Okay, so I'm wondering what you drew yesterday. Did you draw the Indians showing her strawberries? Did you draw her waving goodbye to her dad as he left? Did you draw the tall Indian man that was going to take care of her? What did you draw yesterday, and what did you say about it? Or if you didn't, because I forgot to tell you, what are you going to say about yesterday's picture? Well, today's, here's the picture we ended with yesterday. And we are on chapter 8, in the Indian house. So the first night was the strangest. All day, Sarah had played with the children. They did not speak in the same words, but somehow they understood each other. When they didn't understand it, it didn't seem to matter anyway. Friends always have ways of speaking without words. But darkness came early, and Sarah found herself in the house with Tall John and his family. Oh, how she longed for her own family. The evening meal was not what Sarah was used to. The Indians ate with their hands, and they had no plates at all. Still, the meat tasted good, and Tall John's wife had cooked it. Sarah liked cooking, but there were times when she tired of it. So she ate this food and she enjoyed it. When bedtime came, Sarah opened the bag that she had packed so neatly. The bag that had come all the way from home on the willing back of Thomas. The children watched eagerly. What magic was Sarah going to take out of the bag? But there was no magic, only a long warm nightgown and a comb. The children watched. They were interested, but puzzled, as Sarah put on the nightgown. Their eyes never left her as they combed out her long hair. That long brown hair of Sarah's, it was like silk on the corn in the late summer. The children came near, and they touched it. All right, Raleigh just came in. You know my little boy Raleigh? He just came in, and I can tell he's got a question. So we're going to pause for 2 seconds and find out what he wants. See you in a minute. Of all things, he wanted to use the phone. Like I'm going to give him the phone right now. Crazy kid. All right.
It's mine.
Then Sarah knelt by the side of the low bed covered with furs to say her prayers, as she always did. She said them aloud, as she had done when her father was there to listen. The tears came again, for this was lonely business. God bless my father and bless my mother and my brothers and my sisters. Make the baby strong and well. Please keep my father safe and bring him back to me." She stopped for a minute, partly because her voice was all choked up, but partly because she did not know if it was right to pray for a horse. But then she went on. "And please, God, keep Thomas safe on the way, and keep me safe, and—" Well, now she really had to stop and think. Was it right to pray for the Indians? Did the Lord take care of the Indians? She could only ask him and see. Yorkie barks at everything that walks by.
Yeah, just like the mailman.
Will you go get him?
Yes.
Go get him quick so he'll stop. So what do you think? Do you think it's okay to pray for the Indians?
Okay.
Please, God, if you take care of the Indians, please bless Tall John and his wife and Small John and Mary. Bless them forever and ever. Amen. The children heard their names, and they looked at their father with a question in their eyes. "She speaks with her Great Spirit," their father said, "as we thank our Great Spirit." "Good," said Small John, who was like his father and not wasting words. And we're on to chapter 9, with just a couple of interruptions there. So we find out that the Indians are not Christians here. They pray to a different God that they call the Great Spirit. So they're not believers in Jesus Christ right now. Chapter 9,
Wait,
Night of Fear.
Is she a believer?
Yes, it sounds like she's a Christian.
Okay.
October days were warm and sunny. The Indian women spread the corn out to dry. At night, Sarah helped them to cover it carefully so the heavy dew would not wet it. There were many things to do. Tall John's wife taught Sarah how to weave a basket. And because Sarah's clothes were stiff and heavy, the Indian women made her clothes of deerskin, such like the Indians wore when the days grew colder. And she also made a pair of deerskin moccasins. Sarah's feet now felt light and free. She walked softly, just like the Indian children did. Often she thought of her family. Were they on their way? Would Hannah and Margaret be afraid of wolves? Stephen would not be. And the baby was too young to know about danger. There was nothing, she thought, to be afraid of here with Tall John and his family. But there was. The pleasant, quiet days came to an end, and all at once, Sarah felt there was fear and disturbance in the air. More Indians kept watch on Guarding Hill, and the Indians from the north must be coming, she thought. So Sarah scarcely knew whether to sleep at night. Suppose. But tired from long days in the sun, she finally did sleep at last, always with a fold of her cloak caught in her hand. And before she slept, she said to herself, "Keep up your courage, Sarah Noble. Keep up your courage." Once in the night, she wakened and listened. Tall John had told her, partly in words and partly by signs, that all along the great river there were hills like Guarding Hill, where men kept watch. If the Indians from the north were coming, the word would be passed from hill to hill by calling, and the villages would be ready. Sarah listened and listened. Once she seemed to hear a long, low wailing. Was that the signal? Were the Indians coming down from the north? She waited for the village to waken, but everything was still. In the darkness, she could hear the even sleep breathing of Tall John and his wife, and of Small John and of Mary. "Why, it's nothing but a wolf," said Sarah. And soon her heart beat quietly too, and she was breathing evenly in sleep, just like her Indian friends. In the morning, Tall John told her that there had been fear, but the danger had passed. The river villages would not be raided. So, forgetting all her fears of the night before, Sarah played with the other children. It was such a charming game they played in the warm sunshine. Taking off all their moccasins, they placed them in a row and then hid a pebble in one of them. Sarah was pleased when it came to her turn to guess, and she guessed right. The pebble was in her own shoe. In the middle of the game, she turned, suddenly, feeling that someone was watching her. You see that picture? It's supposed to be all the moccasins lined up in a row for that game. Who's watching? It was her father. John Noble stood there, saying not a word. His eyes crinkled up at the corners the way they did when he was amused, and he said, "Sarah, I had thought you were one of the Indian children." "Father," said Sarah, and she ran to him. "Has my mother come?" "We are all here now," said her father. "I have come to take you home. But, daughter, I think it would be well to put on your own clothes, or your mother surely won't know you." So Sarah did put on her own clothes, piece by stiff piece, and she now thought of buttons as tiresome. And as for petticoats, the moccasins she kept on, for her feet refused to go into those heavy leather shoes. When she was ready to leave, she saw tall John looking sadly at her. "You go, Sarah," he said. "I must," said Sarah. "My mother is here." Tall John said nothing, but he swung Sarah up on his shoulder as he had done many times before.
Aww.